The morning sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows of St. Catherine's Convent, casting colorful patterns across the worn wooden floor. Sister Maria Cecilia shuffled slowly down the corridor, her steps careful and measured. At 87, every movement required thought and effort. Her arthritis made each morning a quiet battle, but she never complained. The old nun had lived through too much to let physical pain disturb her peace. The convent had been her home for 63 years. She knew every cracked tile, every creaking floorboard, and every changing shadow as the sun moved across the sky. This morning, like most mornings for the past several decades, she was heading to the small chapel before anyone else woke up. The chapel door groaned as she pushed it open. Sister Maria smiled at the familiar sound. So many things in the convent made noise. The old pipes, the wooden stairs, the heavy doors, as if the building itself was alive and talking. She had come to find comfort in these sounds over the years. In the corner of the chapel sat an old upright piano. It wasn't anything special. The finish was worn in places and some of the ivory keys had yellowed with age. But to Sister Maria, it was a treasure beyond price. She glanced around, confirming she was alone, then made her way to the instrument. Her gnarled fingers hovered over the keys for a moment. Those hands had changed so much over the decades. Once they had been young and nimble, capable of dancing across a keyboard with remarkable speed and precision. Now they were knotted with arthritis, the knuckles swollen, the skin paper-thin. But the memory lived in those hands, a memory that went back to another life. Before she became Sister Maria Cecilia, she had been born Anna Ricci in a small town near Florence in 1938. Her father was a carpenter, her mother a seamstress. They weren't wealthy, but they managed to get by even during the difficult years after the war. What little extra money they had, they saved for Anna's piano lessons. Her talent was obvious from the beginning. By age 7, she could play pieces that students twice her age struggled with. Her teacher, an elderly woman who had once performed in concert halls across Europe, recognized something special in the quiet girl with serious eyes. "Your daughter has a gift," the teacher had told Anna's parents. "She should be trained properly. She could have a career as a concert pianist." Her parents had been both proud and worried. Such an education would cost money they didn't have. But somehow they found a way. They worked extra hours. They sold possessions. They borrowed from relatives. By the time Anna was 15, she had been accepted to study at one of Italy's most prestigious music academies. Those years had been magical. For the first time, Anna was surrounded by people who understood her passion for music. She practiced 8, sometimes 10 hours a day. Her fingers grew strong, her technique flawless. Her instructors predicted a bright future: concert halls, recordings, international tours. Then, during her final year at the academy, Anna's mother fell ill. Cancer, the doctors said. Anna returned home to help care for her. During those long nights keeping watch at her mother's bedside, Anna found herself turning to prayer. She had always been religious, but now her faith deepened, becoming something more profound. After her mother passed, Anna made a decision that shocked everyone who knew her. Instead of accepting the offers that had come from orchestras and music schools, she entered the convent. She felt called to a different kind of life, one of service, prayer and quiet reflection. The Mother Superior at the time, a wise woman named Sister Agnes, had tried to dissuade her. "You have a rare talent," she had said. "Are you certain you wish to give up a career in music? God gives us gifts for a reason." "I'm not giving it up," Anna had replied. "I'm offering it back to the one who gave it to me." And so at 24, Anna Ricci became Sister Maria Cecilia. She packed away her concert dresses, her sheet music, and the scrapbook filled with program notes from her student performances. She embraced her new life fully, finding joy in the simple routines of the convent, in prayer and service to others. But the music never left her. In those early years, she was often asked to play during services or special occasions. The other nuns marveled at her skill. Later, as the convent's priorities shifted and knew her, younger nuns took over musical duties. Her time at the piano became less frequent, more private. Now, 63 years later, these early morning sessions were her special secret. Not forbidden. The current Mother Superior, Sister Teresa, knew about them and had never objected, but private, personal. Sister Maria's fingers pressed down on the keys, beginning softly with a simple Bach prelude. Despite her arthritis, Despite the years with limited practice, the music flowed from her hands as naturally as breathing. She closed her eyes, letting muscle memory guide her. The chapel's acoustics were surprisingly good, the notes floating upward to the arched ceiling. She transitioned smoothly into a Chopin nocturne, one of her favorites. As a student, she had been known for her interpretations of Chopin, capturing both the technical precision and the emotional depth of his work. Now, as an elderly nun, she played with even greater understanding. Life had taught her about love and loss, about joy and sorrow, about waiting and acceptance. All of this found its way into her music. Sister Giovanna, one of the younger nuns at 62, often said that Sister Maria played like she was having a conversation with God. Perhaps that was true. When she played, Sister Maria felt closest to understanding the mysteries of faith and life. As she played, memories drifted through her mind like leaves on a gentle stream. Her father's workshop filled with the smell of wood shavings, her mother's hands always moving, always creating, the concert hall where she had given her first public performance, terrified and exhilarated, the small spare room that had been hers when she first came to the convent, how she had knelt on the hard floor and felt absolutely certain she was where she belonged. The nocturne ended, and Sister Maria paused. The silence in the chapel seemed to vibrate with the lingering echoes of the music. She began another piece, this time one of her own compositions. Over the years, she had created dozens of pieces, though she'd never written them down. They existed only in her memory and in these quiet morning sessions. This particular piece was inspired by the convent garden in spring, when the old apple tree burst into bloom and the air was filled with fragrance. It was simple but beautiful, with a melody that seemed to pose a question that was never quite answered. She was so absorbed in the music that she didn't hear the chapel door open, didn't notice Sister Lucia standing quietly in the back, listening with wide eyes. Sister Lucia, at 35, was one of the newest members of their community. She had joined the convent after working as a nurse for several years, seeking a deeper connection to her faith. Sister Maria finished her piece and sat in silence for a moment, her hands resting lightly on the keys. Then she carefully closed the piano and stood up, using the bench for support as her stiff joints protested. It was only then that she noticed Sister Lucia. "I'm sorry," Sister Lucia said quickly. "I didn't mean to intrude. I was passing by and heard—" "I've never heard anyone play like that." Sister Maria smiled. "No need to apologize. Music is meant to be shared." "Where did you learn to play like that?" Sister Lucia asked, stepping further into the chapel. "A long time ago," Sister Maria replied. "In another life, almost." "You could have been a famous pianist," Sister Lucia said with certainty. Sister Maria chuckled softly. "Perhaps. But then I would have missed all this." She gestured around the chapel, but her meaning encompassed more than just the building, the lifetime of prayer, of community, of quiet service. "Do others know how talented you are?" "The older sisters remember," Sister Maria said. "But it doesn't matter. We don't come to the convent to be known for our talents." Sister Lucia looked like she wanted to argue but held her tongue. Instead, she asked, "Will you play again tomorrow?" "I play every morning," Sister Maria answered. "You're welcome to join me if you wish." As the two nuns left the chapel together, the first bells of the day began to ring, calling the community to morning prayer. Sister Maria's private concert was over, and her day of simple duties would begin. But the music stayed with her, flowing through her thoughts like an underground stream, always present beneath the surface of her quiet life. What no one in the convent realized, what Sister Maria herself didn't fully understand, was that her greatest performance was still to come, waiting like a gift unopened, ready to surprise not just her small religious community, but the entire world. For 2 weeks, Sister Lucia joined Sister Maria Cecilia for her morning piano sessions. The younger nun would sit quietly in a pew, eyes closed, letting the music wash over her. Occasionally, Sister Maria would explain a piece, the story behind it, what the composer might have been feeling, how the structure worked. These became cherished moments for both women. "Why did you never teach music here?" Sister Lucia asked one morning as they walked back to the dining hall for breakfast. Sister Maria smiled gently. "I did many years ago. We had a small choir, and I taught a few of the sisters who were interested. But times change, priorities shift. What she didn't say was how the convent had gradually moved away from arts and music over the decades. New leadership had emphasized other aspects of their ministry: community outreach, prayer, simplicity. None of these were bad things, of course, but something precious had been lost along the way. Change came again to St. Catherine's on a rainy Tuesday in October. The regional director of their order arrived with important news. Mother Superior Teresa was being reassigned to oversee a convent in Rome. In her place would come Sister Constance from a strict convent in northern Italy. Rumors about Sister Constance spread quickly. She was younger than many had expected, only 58. She had a reputation for discipline and order. She believed in returning to the original, stricter interpretations of their vows. She's turned around 3 struggling convents, Sister Josephine whispered during evening chores. They say she cuts all unnecessary expenses and focuses on prayer and work. What's unnecessary? Asked Sister Lucia, thinking of the morning piano sessions. Sister Josephine shrugged. Guess we'll find out. Sister Constance arrived on a cold, clear morning in early November. She was tall and thin, with sharp features and alert eyes that seemed to notice everything. Her first address to the assembled nuns was brief and to the point. Our order was founded on principles of simplicity, service, and devotion, she said in a voice that carried easily across the room. Over time, some of our convents have drifted from these foundations. My role is to help us return to our roots. There will be changes. Some may be difficult at first, but together, we will strengthen this community. The changes began immediately. Wake-up time moved 30 minutes earlier. The daily schedule was reorganized to include more prayer and work periods. Meals became simpler. Personal items were reviewed. Anything deemed unnecessary was to be donated or stored away. Sister Maria watched these changes with the calm perspective of someone who had seen many leaders come and go over the decades. Some sisters complained quietly among themselves, but she remained serene. Her morning ritual with the piano continued unchanged until the 3rd week. She arrived at the chapel at her usual time to find the door locked. Confused, she waited, thinking perhaps someone was inside cleaning. After 15 minutes, Sister Josephine came by on her way to ring the morning bells. Are you looking for this? She held up a key. Mother Constance has asked that the chapel remain locked except during scheduled prayer times. She says it will help us focus our devotions and prevent distractions. Sister Maria's face revealed nothing, but her heart sank. I see, thank you for telling me. Later that day, a notice appeared on the community bulletin board. To conserve resources and maintain appropriate focus, the chapel piano will no longer be available for personal use. It requires costly maintenance and creates noise that may disturb those in prayer. Musical instruments should be used only for official religious services as approved by the Mother Superior. The message was clear, even if Sister Maria's name wasn't mentioned. Her morning ritual of over 30 years had just been eliminated with a single note. That evening, Sister Lucia found Sister Maria in the small convent library, reading by the window. Did you see the notice? Sister Lucia asked, her voice tight with indignation. Yes, Sister Maria replied calmly. It's not fair. Your playing never disturbed anyone. It's beautiful, and the piano hardly needs any maintenance. You take better care of it than anyone. Sister Maria closed her book gently. Sister Constance is doing what she believes is right for the community. But in my years here, I've seen many changes, Sister Maria said. Some good, some difficult. Our vow of obedience doesn't mean we always agree, only that we accept. So you'll just give up the music? Sister Lucia couldn't hide her disappointment. Sister Maria smiled. The music isn't in the piano, dear one. It's here. She touched her heart. No one can take that away. Despite her calm words, the next weeks were difficult for Sister Maria. Her mornings felt empty without the piano. She filled the time with extra prayer, but something vital was missing. The other nuns noticed the change in her, a slight dimming of the light in her eyes, a new heaviness in her step that went beyond her arthritis. Sister Maria never complained, never mentioned the piano. But sometimes while working in the garden or folding laundry, her fingers would move slightly, playing invisible keys. The music continued inside her, even without the instrument. Winter settled over the convent, bringing short days and long nights. Sister Constance implemented more changes. The heating was kept lower to save on costs. The library hours were reduced. Community recreation time was shortened in favor of additional work periods. Most of the sisters adjusted. though not without some grumbling. They were, after all, women who had chosen lives of discipline and sacrifice, but morale was undeniably lower. The convent felt colder in ways that had nothing to do with the thermostat. One evening in January, Sister Maria was summoned to Mother Constance's office. She knocked gently on the door. "Enter," came the crisp response. Mother Constance sat behind a desk that had been cleared of all but the most essential items, a stark contrast to Mother Teresa's cluttered, welcoming space. "Sister Maria Cecilia, please sit." Sister Maria eased herself into the straight-back chair, her joints protesting. "You've been with us a long time," Mother Constance began. 63 years this spring," Sister Maria confirmed. "Several sisters have expressed concern about your adjustment to our new schedule." Sister Maria tilted her head slightly. "I wasn't aware of any problems with my work or conduct." "Not problems, exactly." Mother Constance shuffled some papers. "But Sister Josephine mentioned you've been seen waiting outside the chapel before morning prayer. And Sister Agnes says you sometimes sit on the piano bench during free periods, though you don't play." "Old habits," Sister Maria said with a gentle smile. "Sometimes my feet take me where I used to go." Mother Constance's expression remained stern. "I understand you used to play the piano regularly." "Yes, it was my morning prayer in a way." "Prayer doesn't require a piano, Sister." "No," Sister Maria agreed. "It doesn't." Mother Constance studied her for a moment. "I'm not unsympathetic. Change is difficult, especially at your age. But our resources must be focused on our mission. The piano needs tuning. The chapel needs quiet. And you—" She paused. "You need to embrace our community's direction." "I understand," Sister Maria said quietly. "Good." Mother Constance nodded. "That will be all." As Sister Maria rose to leave, Mother Constance added, "I've been meaning to ask. The small garden behind the kitchen seems neglected. Perhaps you could take over its care? It would give you something productive to focus on in the mornings." "It wasn't really a question," Sister Maria nodded. "I'd be happy to," so began a new routine. Each morning, instead of playing Bach and Chopin in the chapel, Sister Maria tended the small kitchen garden. Even in winter, there was work to do. Preparing the soil, planning for spring planting, clearing away dead growth. The physical labor was hard on her arthritic hands, but she never complained. As the weeks passed, something unexpected happened. Sisters began finding reasons to visit the kitchen garden in the mornings. They would bring coffee, ask gardening questions, or simply sit on the small stone bench and talk. The garden became a place of community and quiet conversation, something the convent had been missing. Sister Maria's hands, which had once created music, now coaxed life from the cold earth. She found a different kind of peace in this work, a different way to serve. But still, in quiet moments, her fingers would sometimes move in familiar patterns, playing silent melodies only she could hear. One evening, as snow fell gently outside, Sister Lucia found Sister Maria in the common room, warming her hands by the fire after a day of indoor chores. "I miss your music," Sister Lucia said softly, sitting beside her. "I know," Sister Maria replied. "I do too. Do you think Mother Constance will ever change her mind?" Sister Maria looked into the flames. "Perhaps. Or perhaps this is simply a new season in life. God works in ways we don't always understand. But your talent is still there," Sister Maria finished for her. "Whether I play or not, the music remains. Sometimes the most important notes are the ones we hold inside." Neither of them knew then how true those words would prove to be, or how soon the music that had been silenced would find its voice again, in a way that would reach far beyond the convent walls and change. Everything February brought heavy snow and bitter winds to the Italian countryside. The convent's stone walls, beautiful in summer, now felt like ice against the hand. The sisters huddled in their heavy wool habits, moving quickly between buildings, their breath forming small clouds in the frozen air. Despite the cold, an atmosphere of excitement had settled over St. Catherine's. For the first time in years, the convent was hosting a significant community event, a charity concert to raise funds for the local children's hospital. Mother Constance had surprised everyone by approving the idea when the regional diocese suggested it. "It's an opportunity to strengthen our connections with the community," she had explained during dinner announcement, "and to demonstrate our commitment to charitable works." The concert was to be held in the convent's main hall, which was larger than the chapel and could accommodate up to 100 guests. The highlight of the evening would be a performance by Anton Ziegler, a renowned pianist from Vienna who was currently touring Italy. He had agreed to perform at the charity event as a favor to the bishop, who had been his childhood friend. Sister Lucia had been put in charge of decorations, working with 3 other younger nuns to transform the austere hall into a welcoming space. They had spent days hanging fabric to improve the acoustics, arranging chairs, and creating simple but elegant flower arrangements with winter blooms from the greenhouse. Sister Maria watched their preparations with quiet interest. Several times she offered suggestions about the placement of the piano or the arrangement of seating for the best sound. The younger nuns listened respectfully, though few understood the source of her expertise. On the morning of the concert, Sister Maria found herself assigned to kitchen duty. She worked steadily, peeling vegetables for the simple refreshments that would be served afterward. Her hands ached in the cold, but she had grown used to managing the pain. "I heard Mr. Ziegler play in Rome once before I joined the order," said Sister Gabriella as they worked side by side. "He has an extraordinary gift." His interpretation of Beethoven brought tears to my eyes. Sister Maria nodded. "A true musician doesn't just play the notes. They find the emotion behind them." "Did you ever hear him play?" Sister Gabriella asked. "No," Sister Maria replied, her knife moving steadily through a carrot. "But I'm looking forward to tonight." By mid-afternoon, an unexpected snowstorm had settled over the region. What began as gentle flurries quickly became heavy, blowing snow that reduced visibility to just a few meters. The radio reported roads closing throughout the province. At 4 o'clock, just 3 hours before the concert was set to begin, the convent telephone rang. Sister Josephine, who manned the small office, answered it. Her expression grew concerned as she listened. "I see. Yes, of course, safety must come first. We'll inform the guests. Thank you for calling." She hung up and hurried to find Mother Constance, who was inspecting the hall one final time. "Mother, that was Mr. Ziegler's assistant. They're stuck in Mantova. The roads are closed and they can't get through the storm. He sends his deepest apologies but won't be able to make it tonight." Mother Constance's face tightened. "When will he arrive?" "Not until tomorrow at the earliest. The storm is expected to last through the night." Mother Constance pressed her lips together. "And we have 60 guests coming in less than 3 hours. Should we cancel?" Sister Josephine asked. Mother Constance paced the length of the piano, her fingers trailing along its polished surface. "No, the bishop is coming. So are the mayor and several important donors to the hospital. We can't simply cancel. We'll need to adjust. But without Mr. Ziegler, we'll have to provide alternative entertainment. Perhaps Sister Beatrice could read her poetry, and the choir could perform a few additional hymns." Sister Lucia, who had been arranging programs on chairs nearby, spoke up hesitantly. "Mother, if I may, we have a pianist here." Mother Constance turned, her eyebrows raised. "We do?" Sister Lucia swallowed nervously but continued. "Sister Maria Cecilia. She was a concert pianist before joining the order. She's extraordinary." "That was over 60 years ago," Mother Constance said dismissively, "and she's nearly 90 now with arthritis." "But she still plays beautifully," Sister Lucia insisted. "I've heard her." Mother Constance frowned. "When could you have heard her?" "The piano has been off limits for personal use." Sister Lucia's cheeks flushed. "Before the new rules. I used to listen to her play in the mornings." "She's truly gifted, Mother. Better than anyone I've ever heard." "This is a professional charity concert," Mother Constance said firmly. "Not a time for amateur performances, however well-intentioned." "With respect, Mother," Sister Josephine interjected gently. "I remember Sister Maria's playing from years ago. She was indeed exceptionally talented, and we have few options at this point." Mother Constance looked between the 2 nuns, then at the piano, then at her watch. "Where is Sister Maria now?" "In the kitchen, I believe," Sister Lucia replied. "Bring her here," Mother Constance said after a moment's hesitation. "I'd like to speak with her." Sister Lucia hurried off, nearly running in her excitement. She found Sister Maria washing dishes, her sleeves rolled up, her gnarled hands red from the hot water. "Sister Maria, Mother Constance wants to see you in the hall right away." Sister Maria dried her hands slowly on a towel. "What about?" "Mr. Ziegler can't make it tonight. The storm has blocked the roads. I told Mother Constance that you could play instead." Sister Maria's eyes widened slightly. You did what? I told her you were a concert pianist that you could perform tonight. Sister Maria shook her head. Sister Lucia, that was a lifetime ago. And my hands... She held them up, showing the swollen joints, the fingers that no longer straightened completely. But you still play beautifully. I've heard you. Please, just come talk to Mother Constance. Sister Maria sighed, but removed her apron and followed Sister Lucia to the hall. Mother Constance was waiting by the piano, her expression unreadable. Sister Lucia tells me you were once a concert pianist, she said without preamble. Many years ago, Sister Maria replied, before I took my vows. And despite your physical limitations, you can still play? Sister Maria met Mother Constance's gaze steadily. Not as I once did, but yes, I can play. Show me, Mother Constance said, gesturing to the piano. Sister Maria hesitated. It had been 3 months since she'd touched a piano. Her hands were stiff from the cold and from washing dishes. But slowly she moved to the bench and sat down. For a moment she simply rested her hands on the keys, feeling their cool smoothness beneath her fingers. Then she began to play. Not a complex piece, but a simple Bach prelude, one of the first things she'd learned as a child. The notes rose clear and precise in the hall's excellent acoustics. Despite her arthritis, despite the months without practice, the music flowed from her hands with grace and clarity. She finished the short piece and looked up at Mother Constance. The Mother Superior's expression had softened slightly. That was competent. But this is a charity event with important guests. We need more than a simple prelude. Sister Maria nodded. Without speaking, she began again. This time a Chopin nocturne, the same one she had often played in her morning sessions. This piece was more demanding, requiring both technical skill and emotional depth. As she played, she forgot about Mother Constance, forgot about the upcoming concert, forgot even about her painful hands. There was only the music, flowing through her like a river that had temporarily been dammed but now ran free again. When she finished, the hall was silent except for a small sniffling sound. Sister Maria turned to see Sister Lucia wiping tears from her eyes. Even Mother Constance seemed moved, though she quickly composed her features. You play well, she admitted. Better than I would have expected given your age and condition. Thank you, Sister Maria said simply. Mother Constance paced a few steps, clearly wrestling with a decision. We have a significant problem. Mr. Ziegler cannot arrive due to the storm. We have important guests coming in less than 3 hours. We need a pianist. She stopped and faced Sister Maria directly. I am asking not as part of your regular duties, but as a special service to the convent and our charitable cause, if you would be willing to perform tonight. Sister Maria looked at the piano, then back at Mother Constance. What would you like me to play? Something appropriate. Religious pieces, perhaps some classical selections. Nothing too flamboyant. Sister Maria nodded. I would be honored to help, though I'll need some time to prepare and to rest my hands before tonight. Of course, Mother Constance agreed. Sister Lucia will help you with whatever you need. She hesitated, then added, Thank you. Sister Maria, you're providing a great service to our community in this emergency. As Mother Constance walked away, Sister Lucia squeezed Sister Maria's shoulder gently. I knew you could do it. Sister Maria smiled. We'll see. It's been a long time since I performed for an audience. You'll be wonderful, Sister Lucia assured her. What will you play? Sister Maria looked thoughtfully at the piano. I'm not sure yet. I'll need to think about what would be right for the occasion. She flexed her fingers carefully, and I'll need to soak my hands in warm water to loosen the joints. As they left the hall, snow continued to fall outside, transforming the convent grounds into a white wonderland. Neither Sister Maria nor any of the other nuns could have guessed how this unexpected snowstorm, and the opportunity it created, would change everything. The hours before the concert passed in a blur of activity. Despite the worsening storm, most of the guests had confirmed they would still attend. Many were already staying in the nearby town and could reach the convent on foot. The sisters worked quickly to finish preparations, lighting extra candles in case of a power outage and bringing in additional firewood to keep the hall warm. In her small room, Sister Maria sat on the edge of her narrow bed, soaking her hands in a basin of warm water that Sister Lucia had prepared. The heat eased the stiffness in her joints, providing temporary relief from the constant ache. Are you nervous? Sister Lucia asked, sitting beside her. Sister Maria smiled. A little. It's been so long since I played for an audience. What will you perform? Sister Maria looked thoughtful. I've been thinking about that. Mother Constance wants religious pieces, which is appropriate, but I'd like to include some other works as well. Music that speaks to the soul, not just to faith. She carefully dried her hands and flexed her fingers. The movement was smoother now, though she knew the relief was temporary. I won't decide everything in advance. Sometimes it's better to feel what the audience needs in the moment. Sister Lucia looked concerned. Mother Constance might not approve of improvising the program. Perhaps not, Sister Maria agreed. But tonight is about the music, not about rules. At 6:30, guests began to arrive, stomping snow from their boots in the entrance hall. The bishop came early, bringing apologies from several officials who couldn't make it through the storm. The mayor arrived with his wife, as did the hospital director and several wealthy donors. Local villagers filled the remaining seats, grateful for an evening's entertainment on such a bitter night. Programs had been hastily revised, with Anton Ziegler's name crossed out and special performance by Sister Maria Cecilia, written in Sister Lucia's neat handwriting. Many guests looked at this change with curiosity. Few had ever heard of a nun giving a piano concert. In a small anteroom, Sister Maria prepared herself. She had chosen to wear her regular habit rather than the formal one some sisters had suggested. The music should stand out, not me, she had insisted. At precisely 7 o'clock, Mother Constance stepped onto the small stage that had been set up at one end of the hall. The audience fell silent. Distinguished guests, friends, neighbors, she began. Thank you for braving the storm to join us tonight. As you've seen in your programs, we've had an unexpected change. Mr. Anton Ziegler is unable to be with us due to the weather. A murmur of disappointment ran through the crowd. However, she continued, we are blessed to have within our own community a musician of considerable talent. Sister Maria Cecilia was, before taking her vows, a concert pianist of some renown. She has graciously agreed to perform for us tonight. Mother Constance gestured toward the side of the stage, and Sister Maria walked slowly to the piano. There was polite applause, but it was clear that expectations were low. Most of the audience saw only an elderly nun with bent shoulders and gnarled hands, moving carefully to avoid a fall. Sister Maria settled herself on the bench and took a moment to adjust its height. She looked out at the audience, the important guests in the front rows, the villagers behind them, her fellow sisters standing along the walls. Then she turned to the piano. She began with a piece most would recognize, Bach's Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring. It was a safe choice, a nod to Mother Constance's preference for religious music. Her fingers moved deliberately over the keys, finding the familiar patterns with ease. The pure, clear notes filled the hall and heads nodded in appreciation. It was a nice performance, better than they had expected from someone her age. As the final notes of Bach faded, Sister Maria didn't pause for applause. Instead, she moved directly into Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. This was more challenging, requiring greater technical skill and emotional range. The audience sat straighter in their seats as they realized what they were hearing. This wasn't just a nun who could play a little piano. This was something else entirely. Sister Maria's body seemed to transform as she played. Her back straightened, her shoulders relaxed, and her hands, those stiff, arthritic hands, moved across the keyboard with astonishing grace and precision. Her face, usually serene, now reflected every nuance of the music, contemplative in the quiet passages, intense during the crescendos. In the third row, the hospital director leaned toward his wife and whispered, "She's extraordinary." By the time Sister Maria finished the Beethoven piece, the audience was completely silent, all shuffling and whispering forgotten. She paused briefly, flexing her fingers. The pain was returning, but it seemed distant, unimportant compared to the joy of playing again. She looked up and caught Sister Lucia's eye. The younger nun nodded encouragingly. Sister Maria smiled and turned back to the piano. Her next selection surprised everyone. Chopin's Revolutionary Etude, one of the most technically demanding pieces in the piano repertoire. It began with a rush of notes like a storm breaking, the left hand driving a powerful rhythm while the right hand raced up and down the keyboard. In the front row, the bishop's eyes widened. He had heard this piece performed by world-class pianists, but never with such fire and conviction. Beside him, the mayor was recording the performance on his phone, his hand shaking slightly as he tried to keep the camera steady. Sister Maria played as if possessed by the music itself. Her physical limitations seemed to vanish as her fingers found every note, every chord, every subtle change in tempo and dynamics. The audience watched in amazement as this humble nun, who had spent decades in quiet service, revealed herself as a master musician. The demanding piece should have exhausted her, but instead, it seemed to energize her. Without stopping, she transitioned into Debussy's Clair de Lune, its impressionistic beauty forming a perfect contrast to Chopin's intensity. The hall was utterly silent except for the music and the occasional gasp from a listener overcome with emotion. Sister Josephine, standing at the back of the hall, felt tears running down her face. In all her years at the convent, she had never fully understood the treasure they had in their midst. Mother Constance stood nearby, her usual stern expression replaced by one of wonder and, perhaps, regret. When the Debussy piece ended, Sister Maria paused. The audience held its breath, unsure if she was finished. Then, with a small smile, she began to play again, this time one of her own compositions, the piece inspired by the convent garden in spring. It was simpler than the classical works she'd performed, but somehow more intimate, more personal. It spoke of quiet joy, of peace found in small moments, of a life lived in devotion. As the final notes faded away, the hall remained silent for one heartbeat, 2, 3, and then erupted in thunderous applause. People rose to their feet, clapping, some wiping tears from their eyes. The bishop was the first to stand, followed quickly by the mayor and the hospital director. Soon the entire audience was giving Sister Maria a standing ovation. Sister Maria rose slowly from the piano bench, her face flushed with emotion. She hadn't expected this response. She bowed her head slightly in acknowledgement, her eyes finding Sister Lucia in the crowd. The younger nun was beaming through her tears, clapping until her hands hurt. The applause continued for so long that Mother Constance finally stepped forward. "Thank you, Sister Maria, for that extraordinary performance." She turned to the audience. "We are truly blessed to have witnessed such artistry tonight. Now please join us for refreshments in the dining hall." But the audience was reluctant to leave. Many surged forward to speak to Sister Maria, to shake her hand, to express their amazement. "Why aren't you performing in concert halls?" the hospital director asked. "Where did you study?" inquired his wife. "Would you consider giving lessons?" asked a village woman whose daughter was studying piano. Sister Maria answered their questions with gentle humor and modesty. "My concert hall has been the chapel for many years," she told them, "and my audience has been the best one could ask for." She glanced upward with a smile. Throughout the reception, the mayor's wife approached Sister Lucia. "I recorded the entire performance on my phone," she said excitedly. "My daughter runs a popular music blog. She'll be amazed when she sees this." "May I share the video?" she asked Sister Lucia. "People should see this incredible talent." Sister Lucia hesitated, unsure of the convent's rules about such things. "I'd need to ask Mother Constance." "Please do," the mayor's wife urged. "The world should hear her play." Later that night, after the guests had departed and the hall had been cleared, Sister Maria sat alone in the now silent room. Her hands ached fiercely from the unaccustomed exertion, but her heart felt lighter than it had in months. To play again, to share the music that had always lived within her. It had been a gift beyond measure. She didn't know that the mayor's wife had already sent the video to her daughter, nor that the daughter had immediately posted it to her music blog with the caption, "Elderly nun plays piano like an angel." She couldn't have guessed that by morning, the video would begin spreading across social media, or that within days, millions of people around the world would be watching her play, their hearts moved by the sight of gnarled hands creating such beauty. Sister Maria simply said a prayer of thanks for the evening's blessings and made her way slowly to her room, unaware that her life and the life of the convent was about to change forever. Sister Maria woke the next morning to find the convent in an unusual state of excitement. Sisters hurried through the hallways, whispering to each other with animated expressions. When she entered the dining hall for breakfast, several of the younger nuns looked at her with something close to awe. "Did something happen?" she asked Sister Josephine as she took her usual seat. Before Sister Josephine could answer, Sister Lucia rushed in, her face flushed with excitement. "Sister Maria, you're famous." "I'm what?" The mayor's wife recorded your performance last night. Her daughter put it on her music blog, and now it's everywhere. People all over the world are watching you play. Sister Maria shook her head, confused. That's not possible. It was just a small charity concert. Sister Lucia pulled out her phone, one of the few sisters permitted to have one for her work with local youth programs. Look. On the small screen was a video titled 87-Year-Old Nun Plays Piano Like a Master. It showed Sister Maria at the piano, her hands moving gracefully across the keys as she played the revolutionary etude. The view count already showed over 2 million. 2 million people? Sister Maria whispered, her hand going to her throat. And it's still climbing. There are thousands of comments. Everyone is amazed by your talent. Mother Constance entered the dining hall then, her expression a mixture of concern and bewilderment. Sisters, we have a situation. The convent telephone has been ringing nonstop all morning. Reporters are calling from newspapers and television stations. There are already 3 camera crews at our gate. The room buzzed with excited chatter. Mother Constance raised her hand for silence. This is not a matter for celebration. This attention is disruptive to our life of prayer and service. She turned to Sister Maria. I don't blame you for this, sister. You couldn't have known what would happen. But we must manage this situation carefully. Sister Maria nodded. Of course, Mother.
What would you like me to do?
Mother Constance considered for a moment. For now, continue your normal duties. I will speak with the bishop about how best to proceed. But normal duties proved impossible that day. By noon, the lane leading to the convent was filled with cars. Journalists shouted questions over the wall. The convent email account, rarely used except for official church business, was flooded with messages, requests for interviews, offers from music producers, invitations to perform. The sisters gathered in the common room after lunch, both troubled and excited by the commotion. It's unseemly, Sister Beatrice complained, all this fuss over a piano performance. But isn't it wonderful that people appreciate such beautiful music? Sister Gabriella countered. In a world filled with noise and violence, they're being moved by something pure and good. Sister Maria sat quietly, listening to the debate swirl around her. Her hands rested in her lap, the arthritis pain a little sharper today after last night's exertion. She felt oddly calm amid the chaos, as if she were watching it all from a distance. In the afternoon, the bishop arrived for an emergency meeting with Mother Constance and Sister Maria. His driver had difficulty getting through the crowd at the gate. It seems you've caused quite a stir, he said to Sister Maria, his eyes twinkling with amusement. Not intentionally. Your Excellency, she replied. The bishop turned to Mother Constance. How do you wish to handle this situation? Mother Constance sighed. My first instinct was to issue a statement declining all interviews and requests. Our vocation is one of humility and service, not public attention. A reasonable approach, the bishop agreed. However, he paused, looking thoughtful. There may be an opportunity here, an opportunity to share something beautiful with a world that desperately needs beauty. Sister Maria looked up, surprised by his words. What do you mean, Your Excellency? Mother Constance asked. The video of Sister Maria has touched millions of people already. They're not just impressed by her technical skill. They're moved by the sight of an elderly nun, someone who has devoted her life to God, creating something so beautiful, it gives them hope. He turned to Sister Maria. Would you be willing to share your gift more widely? Not for fame or personal gain, but as a form of ministry? Sister Maria considered his question carefully. I've never thought of my music as a ministry. It was always a private joy, a conversation between me and God. The best ministries often begin that way, the bishop said gently. Mother Constance looked troubled, but the disruption to our community, the publicity, would be considerable, the bishop acknowledged, which is why any decision must be made carefully, with the whole community in mind. That evening, Mother Constance called an unusual meeting of all the sisters. The crowd outside had grown, and local police had arrived to maintain order. Inside, the convent was in a state of suspended animation, caught between their normal routine and the extraordinary situation unfolding around them. Sisters, Mother Constance began, we face an unexpected challenge. The attention focused on Sister Maria's gift threatens to disrupt our way of life. Yet, as the bishop has reminded me, we are called not only to serve God in silence, but also to share his gifts with the world. She looked around the room, her gaze settling finally on Sister Maria. "I've spent the day in prayer and consultation, and I've come to a decision that I believe honors both our vocation and the gift that has been revealed." The room was utterly silent as everyone waited. Sister Maria will be permitted to accept some, not all, but some, of the requests that have come to us. She will record an album of sacred and classical music, with all proceeds going to children's music education in underprivileged areas. She will give a limited number of performances, again, for charitable purposes. There was a murmur of surprise. This was far more than anyone had expected Mother Constance to allow. "These activities will be structured to minimize disruption to our community," she continued, "and they will be undertaken not for personal recognition, but as a form of outreach, a way to touch hearts that might never be reached through traditional ministry." She turned to Sister Maria. "If you are willing, Sister." Sister Maria felt all eyes on her. She had never sought attention or acclaim. For 63 years she had embraced a life of quiet service. Yet there was something about this unexpected turn of events that felt right, as if all the threads of her life, her musical training, her faith, even the recent months without the piano, were being woven together into a pattern she couldn't have foreseen. "I am willing," she said simply. "If my music can bring joy or comfort to others, then it is right to share it." The next weeks passed in a blur of activity. A recording studio was set up in the chapel, chosen for its excellent acoustics. Sister Maria recorded 20 pieces, a mixture of sacred music, classical works, and her own compositions. Her arthritis meant they could only record for short periods each day, but her playing remained transcendent. A simple website was created, with Sister Maria's story and a photograph showing her at the piano, her face illuminated with joy. Requests for performances poured in from around the world. Mother Constance and Sister Lucia, now acting as a makeshift assistant, carefully selected a few: a benefit concert at the Vatican, a children's hospital opening, a festival of sacred music. At each performance, audiences fell silent as the elderly nun in her simple habit took her place at the piano, and each time they rose to their feet in thunderous applause when she finished. The album, titled Hidden Harmonies, topped classical music charts worldwide. Music critics wrote about the depth of emotion in her playing, the technical mastery that had somehow survived decades without regular practice, and the physical limitations of age. But most remarkable was the effect Sister Maria's story had on others. Letters arrived at the convent daily, many from elderly people who had been inspired to return to abandoned passions: painting, writing, dancing, singing. "I thought my creative days were behind me," wrote a 92-year-old former dancer. "But after seeing you play, I've started teaching movement classes at my retirement home. Thank you for showing me it's never too late." 6 months after the charity concert that had changed everything, a foundation was established in Sister Maria's name. Its mission was simple: to provide music education to children who couldn't afford it, and to create opportunities for elderly musicians to share their gifts and knowledge. Sister Maria herself taught weekly piano lessons to local children in the convent's parlor, her patience and gentleness making her a beloved teacher. The pain in her hands remained, sometimes forcing her to demonstrate phrases one finger at a time, but her students didn't mind. They knew they were learning from someone extraordinary. One evening, as spring returned to the convent garden, Sister Maria and Sister Lucia sat on a bench watching the sunset. The day's lessons were done and a peaceful quiet had settled over the grounds. "Are you happy, Sister Maria?" Sister Lucia asked. "With all that's happened?" Sister Maria considered the question. "Happy isn't quite the right word," she said finally. "Grateful, perhaps. Grateful that something that brought me joy for so many years can now bring joy to others." "Mother Constance has changed," Sister Lucia observed. "She's less rigid now. Yesterday she actually suggested we start a children's choir." Sister Maria smiled. "We all change given time and the right circumstances. That's the beauty of life. It's never too late to grow." As if to prove her point, new green shoots were pushing up through the soil of the garden beds Sister Maria had tended during the months without her music. Life finding a way forward as it always did. "The greatest gift," Sister Maria said softly, "isn't the music itself. It's showing others that age and circumstance,